South African researcher, Professor Tulio de Oliveira, has just been named one of Time magazine's 100th most influential people. Now, de Oliveira's work has been recognized across the world after he and his team discovered the Omicron variant of the coronavirus. He's also been featured alongside Zimbabwean virologist Sikhulile Moyo, who's actually the director for the Botswana Harvard HIV Reference Laboratory. To chat to us a bit more about, I guess, what can be described as an amazing feat, let's bring in Professor de Oliveira, who's actually live to us from Stockholm in Sweden this morning. Prof, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations are in order. And, you know, I'm always so amazed by the prominence that scientists have received as one of the spin-offs we don't talk about often of the COVID-19 pandemic. Is this something you expected at all?
Yeah, good morning. Yeah. So one thing that South Africa did very well during this pandemic, it is world-leading science. Yeah. So, for example, as I talk to you now, I'm just have been invited to present, but with other two very prominent South African, Professor Glenda Gray and Penny Moore, in the Nobel Symposium of Medicine. It's the first time that such one in three of that presenters in that symposium are South African. So people is really recognizing the level of South African science that was not built on during only the pandemic. This was really built in the last 20 years as we study and react against the HIV and TB pandemics, and then we could really work very fast and really lead the world on a lot of the most important COVID science in the world. Yeah.
Sure. To be fair, though, you know, we're making a whole lot of noise around this Times 100 most influential people's list, but this is not the first time you've had this kind of recognition. You've also been named as one of the 10 most influential scientists in 2021 by the science journal Nature. That's also not something to be scoffed at all.
Yes. So I personally, I find that it's very important as scientists to have more influence, because then we can guide things on the scientific response and methods. This Time 100 for me is quite special, and the main reason for that, because Dr. Sikhulile Moyo, which he did a PhD with me, so I was his supervisor, and it's so wonderful to see like all the kind of very strong efforts that we put in capacity building in South Africa and Africa begin to pay off. So that Time 100, I'm very proud to have a PhD student of mine that only graduated like 5 years ago to now be also a very influential scientist in the world.
It says so much about you, right? In this particular instance, you're receiving this recognition specifically because of your sequencing of pathogens. I've mentioned here that, you know, it's essentially you getting this nod for reporting the Omicron variant after being able to discover it. And, of course, most of us were around at the time, and we remember how it felt like bad news back then. I mean, it led to South Africa being among, I think it was 6 other African countries being banned from the world, essentially, because of this perception that Omicron lives on the southern tip of Africa. Help us better place, now that we're here, the significance of that discovery, especially because of the recognition you're getting for it now.
I think in the end, like the Omicron was a really, really important discovery. Yeah, and was not the first that we discovered. We have also discovered the Beta. We even helped the UK, which put a big travel ban on us, and discovered the variant, the Alpha, which caused 100 times more deaths than both of the Omicron and the Beta. Yeah, I think that the world really realized that travel bans are unfair, unscientific, do not stop transmission. Yeah. And damage other countries to come forward there. So, for example, we a few weeks ago, we also discovered these 2 sublineages, BA4 and BA5, and was no actions to kind of try to ban South Africa. So I think that's in the past. And one thing that the world realizes that one can learn from one's mistakes. Yeah, and I don't expect to see any more travel bans. And now what we are working with some very high level politicians, economists, and with scientists at the World Health Organization to create a system that would not penalize countries to identify pathogens, but that would support them both economic and financially, so the world could much quicker identify pathogens pathogens and react so we don't have these awful pandemics that happened in the last 2 years.
You know, we'd always heard that South Africa is home to some of the world-leading scientists, actually, some of the best scientists that the world has to offer. And this kind of recognition, I guess, really drives that point home. But I do wonder whether there are any kind of, I don't know, call it fringe benefits for South Africa by virtue of us, you know, I guess, having you being associated with this country.
I'm sure that it has. Yeah, it has many, many, many benefits. Many of people will not know that's watching that. Yeah. But the scientific funding from South Africa is increasing. Most very big investments internationally, and that kind of recognition helped to not only increase the scientific funding that come to South Africa. Investment in South Africa recognize that South Africa has very advanced technologies. Advise that South Africa takes science serious, and also inspire the next generation of individuals to take a scientific career. And one thing that we know is that we need more science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and bioinformatics, and genomics, if we were to really increase and translate, move our country from like just production of things, what we call the knowledge economy. That's going to be so important in the future, and it's great that a lot of the investment is also have been done by the Department of Science Innovation in South Africa. And one thing that almost every single country that moved from low and middle income to high income country, it really was with a lot of investment in science. It pay off in the long term.
Absolutely. Well, once again, congratulations are in order. It's great to hear that there are real material benefits from getting this kind of recognition, besides, of course, all the bragging rights. But really do appreciate your making time to speak to us this morning. Professor Tulio de Oliveira, named among Time magazine's 100 most influential people. That, by the way, is a list that includes Hollywood actors, singers across the globe, etc., etc. So if you had any doubt that we do have, you know, some of the best scientists in the world, hopefully this puts that doubt to bed. Once again, Professor Tulio de Oliveira, thanks very much indeed for your time.